Now, so many people, when they want to draw their graph immediately, they get their table of values. The first thing they actually do is to draw uh, their y-axis in the center of the graph and the x-axis crossing the center of the y-axis, and it's gonna look something just like this. Now, this is what most people draw immediately when they want to start drawing out your graph on the graph paper. But at the end of the day, when you look at the table of values, you find out that, well, the table of values doesn't rhyme, or there's not much space for you to put the values in the graph, and then they start to clean and mess up the graph. Now, how can you avoid that? How can you draw an accurate y and x axis planned out on your graph paper? Now, in this video, we're going to be looking at how you can rule your graph, or what I call how you can position your graph. Now, using your table of values, that's what we're going to be doing. So these are just 3 examples of how ruling of graph can be like. Your y-axis and x-axis can be in this format, all in the center, or it could be, the x-axis could go all the way up and the to the y-axis like that, and it could also be like this. So I'm going to show you exactly how, using one example. Now, if you have an example like this, now this is actually a table of values we'll be using for some time. So now we're going to use this table of values to draw a graph. You can naturally get the right position of the graph by looking at the highest values and lowest values on each of the values for either x or y axis. Now you can get, first of all, you can get the position of the y axis on the graph by looking at the lowest values of the x axis or the highest values on the x axis. I'm going to show you how. And you can get the position of the x axis by looking at the highest or lowest values on the y axis. Now let's do that. So now, using this table of values, you notice that the lowest values for the x-axis is -2. So now we want to get the y-axis by looking at the x-axis. So we're going to do that here. So now this is a graph paper. So you notice that the x-axis is always horizontal. So let's just pick any line. So now if we put -2 here and we'll put -1 here, that means 0 is going to be here. So obviously y-axis is going to be on this line. So we're going to mark that out. We're going to mark that out and rule. Okay, so let's just do that now. Let's just rule that line. So okay, so that is it. So now, how do we know where our x-axis is going to lie? Now we're going to look at the point on the y-axis. Now the highest values on the y-axis is 12 and the lowest value is -4. So we're going to pick the highest values so that we know if the x-axis will come up or come down, and obviously it's going to come down because 12 is pretty a high value on the graph paper. So we're just going to bring the graph now, and you see, if we the thing you need to do is to start from the top, that is 12, count down. Now let's assume the scale is 2 centimeters to 1 unit. Let's assume the scale is 2 centimeters to 1 unit. So we're gonna have 12 here. We can have 11 here. We're gonna have 10 here. I just hope it's gonna reach, or maybe let's make it 1 centimeter to 1 unit. So let me have 11 here and 10 here, and then I'll have 9 here and 8 here. So that's, I don't know how many lines are gonna take up 12. So we're gonna have 7 here and 6 here and 5 here and 4 here and 3 here and 2 here, and then 1 is gonna be here. Sorry, this is 1. So your graph is not going to be as rough as this. So I'm just giving you a sketch of how you can position your graph. First of all, we're able to get the y-axis. Now the x-axis, we now know that the x-axis is obviously going to be on this line, because if 1 is here, that means 0 is going to be here, and we can draw our x-axis on this line. So that is exactly how you position your graph. You just know from the x-axis, you know where the position the y-axis, and now from the y-axis, you know where to position the x-axis. So that's just it. So this is y-axis and this is x-axis. Okay, so that is just exactly, now when I did it on a very clean paper, this is exactly how it looks like. Now this is exactly how it looks like. So from the x-axis, we found that the negative value is going to take -2 from here, -1, and 0 is going to be here. So that means our y-axis is going to be on this line. Note that first. Then from the y-axis, knowing the highest and lowest values, you know that, okay, if you count from 12 down, that means 0 is going to be on this point. So that means the x-axis is going to be on this line. So that's exactly how you do it. So that's exactly how you position your graph. So you can try to do another example, and I think it will work for you if you follow using highest and lowest values for your table of values.